Welcome to page 4, where we are comparing unit rates. Sometimes we're given an equation, sometimes we're given a little story, sometimes a table of values, and sometimes a graph. And it's our job to calculate the unit rate for each one of these situations and compare those unit rates. In this case, apples to apples, we are trying to figure out which is the better buy. In other words, which is the cheapest. We've been given 3 different situations. For Annie's apples, we know we can get a 5-pound bag for $22.75. For Fran's fruits, we can get 2 2/5 for $11.40. And finally, for Applewood Farms, we've been given a graph. So let's find the unit rate for each one of these. We know in order to calculate a rate for any of these, we need to compare y over x. And in this case, and I always like to use a table for this, we are comparing C to P. That stands for dollars to pounds. So we know anytime we set up a ratio, we're going to be comparing the cost to the pounds of apples. And we're looking for the unit rate. We want to know in each case, A, B, or C, what 1 pound of apples costs. Let's take a look at apples by Annie first. Now, we know when we set up our ratio, we have to put dollars on top and pounds on the bottom. So the $22.75 goes on top, and we're going to divide by the 5 pounds of apples. Take a moment, grab your calculator, and divide. You should have gotten 4.55. But let's dress that up with labels. It really means, as a unit price, $4.55 per 1 pound of apples. There's your unit rate for Annie's apples. Now let's take a look at the next one, Fran's fruits. We know we're going to be comparing dollars to pounds. But in this case, you can see there are a few mixed numbers in our table. So let's convert them to decimal form. It's so much easier to work with. We see that 2/5 can easily be converted to a decimal by simply punching into our calculator 2 divided by 5. Take a moment and convert that to a decimal. You should have gotten 0.4 on your calculator. This is really 2.4 pounds. And when you convert 1/5 to a decimal, 1 divided by 5, you should have gotten 3.2 pounds. Now let's compare y over x, or in this case, C over P. P stands for pounds. Set up a ratio for each. Take a moment and grab your calculator. You should be recording all of this work in your spiral notebook or on a worksheet if you were able to print it. As you divide on your calculator, you should have gotten 4.75 for each. But what that really means as a unit rate, as we dress it up with labels, that Fran's fruit for apples is $4.75 per 1 pound. Clearly a bit more expensive than apples by Annie. Now in the last case, we've been given a graph for Applewood Farms. Clearly it's proportional. It starts at 0, 0 and it's straight. And we know when we're given a graph, we're going to construct a little t-table next to that graph. We're going to grab a few key points off that graph, and from those points, we can calculate our unit rate. The first good readable point as I look at this is right here. For 2 pounds of apples, it costs $9. That's the ordered pair, 2,9. And the next good, easy readable point is right here. For 4 pounds of apples, it's going to cost us $18. Now, that's enough to set up a few ratios. You're going to say, as we compare dollars to pounds, $9 gets us 2 pounds, and $18 gets us 4 pounds of apples at Applewood Farms. Take a moment and divide. 9 divided by 2 and 18 divided by 4. In each case, you should get 4.5. But remember, we're talking about dollars per pound. So dress it up with labels. At Applewood Farms, it costs $4.50 per 1 pound of apples. And that's the unit rate for Applewood Farms. So let's compare the unit rates for each. $4.55 at Apples by Annie, $4.75 at Fran's Fruit, and clearly $4.50 per pound is the best buy at Applewood Farms. So our answer is Applewood Farms. And to write an explanation for this, it might sound something like this. The best buy is Applewood Farms, which has a unit price of $4.50 per 1 pound of apples. Divide the cost by the number of pounds to get the unit rate. Compare the unit rates to determine the better buy. Now you should have all these notes in your spiral notebook or on your worksheet. Now let's take a look at problem 4, which you will complete on your own. For problem number 4, you should record your work that you complete in your spiral notebook or on your worksheet. It says, run like the wind. Which runner is faster? So we're looking for the runner with the quickest time. We have Jogging Jeff, Sarah Sprint, and Running Ralph. And in this case, as we compare y over x to get our rate, it's going to be miles per minute. But in this case, they don't use x and y. They use m for miles and u for minutes. So in this problem, we'll be finding out how many miles per 1 minute. Complete this problem on your own, and when you're ready and completely done with the work, check your work against the posted answer key. This completes page 4.